Hi, hello, my name is Kira. Welcome to the channel, or welcome back. Here's the second installment in Your Favorite Author is Problematique. Let's replace them. So, you don't want to read Harry Potter anymore because JK Rowling is a transphobic piece of trash. Understandable. Luckily, there are a lot of books out there that are just as good or better than Harry Potter. So, this is my personal list. Here are my rules for compiling this list, because if I was just doing fantasy recommendations, we'd be here for weeks. The book should be accessible for young adults, just like the Harry Potter series, so nothing here is going to be very sexual, or if there is romance, it's not explicit. I'll warn if that's not the case, because there's one or two books here that there is some sexual stuff, but for the most part I wanted to keep it very, friendly for the original Harry Potter audience. There is violence, but if you read Harry Potter, there's violence in Harry Potter, so you're fine. B, the book should, of course, feature magic or a special school setting, and should be in the modern day like Harry Potter, except with one or two exceptions that I had to include because they were so perfect for a Harry Potter list, but try to focus on books try to focus on books that have really compelling characters, because I think the characters are why HP fans are so fond of the books. So really focus on getting good characters in there, but I also tried to get some good world building in there, because I kind of think that was Rowling's weak point, like always. But yes, enjoyable characters is a must. No exceptions to that particular rule. So, starting out, Leven, Thumps by Obert, Skye. There's 5 books in this series. We're starting off with a whole series. It's already lots of stuff to read. They started publishing these in 2005, so a lot of these books are from the early 2000s. I think they really just kind of snuck in because, Pottermania was going on. But you got a lot of really good books that, just snuck in under the radar. And I think a lot of them ended up on this list. Leven, Thumps is one of them. It did get compared to Harry Potter. Obviously, it is pretty similar to Harry Potter, which is why it's kind of first on this list. But it got its own merits. It won the Benjamin Franklin Award from the Independent Book Publishers Association. It can stand on its own 2 feet, thanks. The cast is obviously, like I said, it's got some really interesting characters in there. I was really fond of Clover, personally, but, if you're looking for something that's pretty Harry Potter-esque, this is as close as I can come up with. Plot summary, Leven is the main character who is orphaned under extremely suspect circumstances. And then he's yanked into this magical mess by a creature lurking under his bed, and you end up with a ragtag bunch of young teens trying to save the world. There's adventure, there's some romance, there's, like I said, a really interesting roster of characters, and a really interesting conglomeration of creatures. Beyond our vampires and werewolves and blah blah blah, there's just this vast expanse of creatures that I really loved. It's something that I remember about the books. So I think those are definitely worth checking out. And also, if you like Percy Jackson, I think that might be a natural step for you to check out the Leven, Thumps books as well, because it takes a lot of the same boxes. I kind of overlap the Percy Jackson books and the Harry Potter books a little in my mind. Not that Rick Riordan has done anything wrong, but I think that the two are kind of similar. So if you like Percy Jackson, you might like the Leven, Thumps books as well. It's worth giving it a try. It's definitely kind of aiming for more the Sorcerer's Stone, Chamber of Secrets audience, more than the later books in the Harry Potter series, but that was part of the point of this list. So, next up, you have Artemis, Fowl by Colfer. You probably all know this one, but I'm putting it on the list because I think it belongs here. You get young evil genius trying to take on the magical world, okay? I find the characters engaging. I love that they have actual character arcs, goodbye redemption arc, and hello, I'm a slightly better person now, but don't test me arc. The world of the fairies, like underground, you know, because they have to live underground now, that they can't interact with humans. Like, I thought that was really, really fascinating and interesting. You got a lot of snark behind it. Like, you know, Colfer was he's definitely a humorous writer who also, you know, wants to make an opinion about certain things, and I really enjoy having some personality to my writing. I don't know. It's here. There's personality to these books. And I love some morally dubious characters. I love them. I eat them up like for breakfast. Personally, for the Artemis Fowl series, there are 8 books. All 8 are really fun, action-packed. I would, you know, check them out. Me personally, I only read the first 3 and then start over from there. But that's like purely from me, because I really appreciate like story structure and the way that the first 3 books all work together and then kind of loop back around. I think I like better than reading the entire series. But then again, that's just me. So you can still choose your own adventure, do what you want, free will, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, Artemis Fowl. What's a good way to try to sum that up? Young genius decides he's going to take on the fairy realm and get himself a heap of gold via ransom. Hijinks ensue because the LEP recon, yes, that is leprechaun, doesn't appreciate getting hit with a ransom demand. So it's time to lay siege to the Fowl Manor and send in the SWAT teams. It's just good fun, and there's trolls and dwarves and time stopping, and it's just fun. It's fun. Okay, moving on. The Septimus Heap series by Angie Sage. This is another series that's very close to Harry Potter. I'm going to say again, it's closer to Sorcerer's Stone and Chamber of Secrets. There's magic, mix-ups, missing princesses, all that stuff. 7 books in the series. It's very feel-goodsy for me. Like, sometimes I just take a book off my shelf and I read just, like, the chapter that makes me happy, and then I put it back. Like, I don't even read the full book. It's just like, I need a little dose of coziness, and then I read a chapter. It's got a more conventional plot, and some of the twists are more predictable, but it was written with a younger audience in mind. So if you happen to be a younger person who found this video, maybe this would be a really good place to start. I think this series has a really nice emotional punch, as shown by the fact that I literally pull it out to have, like, a good, fun, emotional time. The basic plot is that the Heap family in this magical world, because this is my exception, this is a magical world, it's not our own, but I had to put it on this list. The Heap family is set to welcome the 7th son into their family, but they lose him. At the same time, there's a coup, and the baby princess needs a place to hide, so the Heaps take her in to hide her as their 7th child. But of course, things can't go smoothly. Cue, magical adventure with some nice old-fashioned betrayals, secret identities, and running from the law. And the Heaps are all cuties. I love this family, even Simon. It's fun. It's a good time. It's feel-goodsy. Yeah. Okay, moving on to the Chrestomanci series by Diana Wynne Jones. Jones is obviously a master of fantasy royalty, but I think that Chrestomanci is the best bet for Harry Potter-esque vibes, though I recommend everything that she ever wrote. The Chrestomanci books chronicle the adventures of Christopher Chant when he is singled out as the Chrestomanci, who is a frighteningly powerful magician gifted with 9 lives. The Chrestomanci is obligated to appear wherever he is summoned, and when there's an infinite number of worlds determined by turning points in history, this can mean a lot of different messes he has to clean up, or maybe cause. There are 7 main books, and then a collection of 4 short stories. The books jump around Christopher's life, some of them occurring when he's a young boy, and then others when he's all grown up and dealing with the full responsibilities of being the Chrestomanci. Most books feature a whole new world, although ours is one of them, but there are all these other branching worlds, and so you get this new setting and a brand new cast. Like, there's always someplace new to explore with these books. So, you just call for Chrestomanci and he has to come running. He's definitely not as chaotic as Hal, but you can definitely tell how she likes to write her wizards, okay? So this is just it's a great series. It was written, from the 70s to, I think 2006 was when the Pinhole Egg was, published. So a lot of time was taken to write these books, and I think they're fun. I love reading them out loud to, my younger siblings. They're great. Okay. The Scholomance by Naomi Novik. Holy heck, I love this series. It's a trilogy, and it is just so much more interesting than Hogwarts, okay? The school literally sucks magical children into it, and then they're stuck there with the things they manage to transport with them until they graduate. And then they have to graduate by running a gauntlet of terrifying, very hungry magical creatures that takes out a good percentage of the graduating class. There are no teachers, there's just a school that does everything automatically by magic, and the students are just, they're trying to trade their shoelaces for a new shirt that fits because the thing that they brought when they were 12 years old no longer fits them when they're 17. It's just, everyone's trying to make alliances so they can try to survive graduation. It's so fun. Novik actually said that she was trying to create a magical school that took the, quote, the glaring flaws in school safety at Hogwarts a little too seriously, end quote. And the result is this darkly humorous setting, and the characters are delightful. Since the Scholomance takes magical kids from all over the world, it really opens up things, even though they're all stuck inside the school. There's already these factions that are built along national lines, and some people don't even understand each other. They didn't study the right languages, so it's well, shoot, I don't speak Mandarin, so I guess I'm not going to be allying with these guys. The protagonist, Elle, actually Galadriel, but she will die before letting anybody know that. Or rather, would kill you without letting anybody know that. She is destined to become an evil overlord and Orion Lake boy of unlimited magical power with a sword. I'm sorry, I can't sum it up in a good way. Orion Lake, boy wonder of unlimited magical ability, is her natural nemesis. On his quest of goodness, and I just love this friggin' series. Warning, this one does get sexual, they had sex, but there's no detailed description of it. It's not smut, it's they are unregulated teenagers running around, living in constant fear for their lives. Elle herself is a product of two seniors messing around, so sex is just a fact of life because that's how it is in the real world. So I wouldn't not recommend this series because I think it's too sexy. I promise to warn you. So this one does have sexual content, but oh my gosh, it's one of my favorite series. And very clearly trying to take on kind of the world of Hogwarts and have some fun with it. But also create such an amazing setting. The Scholomance is amazing, even though it's evil, is an evil school. Anyway, moving on. Another one that was very definitely inspired by Harry Potter and then taken in its own direction is the Simon Snow trilogy by Rainbow Rowell. It's Harry Potter, but queer, and also goes beyond the happily ever after. I think the first book of the Trilogy gets reduced to this fun magical time with gayness, which, yes, the first book is the most similar to Harry Potter in an orphan boy goes to a magical school, but the way that this story explores the aftermath of being a hero is heart-wrenching. If the first book is the end of the hero's story, then books 2 and 3 are the hero trying to live with the aftermath. The guilt, the truth, the relationships he's sure are going to fracture, and the third book might be one of the most emotionally gouging things I've ever read. Like, I had to take breaks between chapters because I couldn't do it. The emotions were so overwhelming. Holy heck. There is sex in the third book, like discussions about it and 2 sex scenes. But they're vague. I don't know. It's hard to explain it to someone who hasn't read the books, but it's like even in the middle of the action, it's like they're so focused more on the emotion and the connection to the person rather than the physicality of it that it's kind of like, wow, that was the most beautiful sex I've ever read in my life. Yeah. So I don't know. It's like I can't, in good conscience, say if you're 12 or 13, go read these books. But if you're at the age that you know that sex exists, then you already know it exists. Like, what more can I do? But, yeah. Moving on, first book, little summary thing. Simon Snow is an orphan, and he is also the chosen one meant to defeat the insidious Humdrum. He keeps pulling his bestie Penelope and girlfriend Agatha into his misadventures, to their mixed reactions, because the sidekicks in this series actually get a voice and actually get explored, and that's really nice. It's fun. Not actually fun. It's good. It's a good thing. And also there's Simon's vampire roommate, who he can't prove is a vampire, and he's not obsessed with at all. On the other side, there's Baz, said roommate, and yes, indeed a vampire, who can readily admit that Simon is A, the most annoying person in the world, and B, Baz is completely in love with him. Have at it. This series, it's funny, it's sweet, it's overwhelming. It stuck with me. It stuck with me for something that was just like, oh, there's a highly entertaining read, and then it ended up being like emotionally devastating, in the best way. Anyway, moving on. Again, I feel like a lot of people know this one but the Ravens cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. There are 4 books in this series, as well as the Dreamer Trilogy, which takes one of the more side character boys and focuses on him. These are quite enjoyable little reads. There's mystery, queer characters, a family of psychics, ghosts, all that good stuff. Basically, Blue Sergeant belongs to a family of clairvoyants, which makes her the odd one out because she cannot see the future. She only amplifies other people's abilities. All her life she's been told that if she kisses her true love, they're going to die. Which makes it sort of lucky that the one her aunt says is her true love is an insufferable student of a local private school. However, Blue still gets caught up in the mystery surrounding the 4 Raven boys, Gansey, Adam, Ronan, and Noah, and their search for magical ley lines. There's a lot more going on with the boys than first impressions leave, and the series explores both the magical and mundane side of their lives. The Dreamer Trilogy focuses on Ronan and his peculiar set of powers. I walked out of this series clutching onto a new best boy like a buoy. It was sort of embarrassing. They are ridiculously endearing, and I had multiple heart clutches per book, and Blue is a fantastic protagonist with the best family, honestly, just all these clairvoyant women. And came because everyone was talking about the books, stayed because Noah threw a lasso around my neck, and then Adam dragged me down. Okay, next on the list. The Shades of Magic Trilogy by V.E. Schwab. V.E. Schwab is an interesting author for me because her books are either so hit or miss, either I'm obsessed or I just don't care for it all. I really enjoyed her Shades of Magic Trilogy. I also love her villain series, but that's a gushing review for another video. Starting with A Darker Shade of Magic, this series explores world building in a truly unique way, with 4 different worlds stacked on top of each other. Like, topographically the same, but unique in every other way. So red, white, gray, and once upon a time, black London. Only Antari, people called Antari, are able to cross between the worlds, and Kel is one of the few Antari left, as distinguished by his entirely black eye and a very unique coat. Kel is in service of the royalty for Red London and does their bidding as he crosses worlds, mostly on diplomatic missions when he's on official business. On the side, Kel lets people catch glimpses of the other worlds through precious artifacts, a hobby that lands him on the foul side of casual thief Delilah Bard of Grey London. I love the complexity of the characters in these books and that there are far-reaching consequences to people's decisions and actions that come into play later. Like, they're lying to wait to pounce at the most inopportune moment. I also love the idea behind Antari and the 4 layered worlds. I think Schwab was really able to pull through on her premise through the use of careful planning and both the charm of her characters and the stark difference between the worlds, and that it just makes each of the Londons almost a character in themselves. So if you love magic and love disaster trios, Kel, Delilah, and Crown Prince Ride, these are definitely worth checking out. Okay, my first series I will recommend from Jonathan Stroud, Lockwood and Company. This series has 5 books and is an absolute delight. Stroud is one of my favorite fantasy authors out there, and I wish I heard more people gushing over him. Like, I know that Lockwood and Company got 1 season on Netflix, but then, of course they stabbed us in the back, except everybody saw it coming because Netflix hates sci-fi and fantasy, so... And I actually liked the adaptation. That's what makes it so cruel. But anyway, you can read the rest of the books and it's great. I'm hoping that the Scarlet and Brown movie is good and is also still going to happen. Anyway, Lockwood and Company is set in a world where ghosts are lurking around every corner since a cataclysmic event decades ago. And ghost touch is deadly, which is why large agencies employ children, who are the only ones able to sense ghosts, to hunt them down while under the thumb of adult supervisors who don't engage in any risky behavior themselves. Anthony Lockwood, child who was in one of those agencies, takes objection to this particular model and founds his own agency, consisting of himself, the more experienced ghost hunter, George, the rather touchy researcher, and newcomer Lucy, who has an extreme sensitivity to ghostly sound, and is the only survivor of a haunting in her hometown, where she went in with a bunch of other kids and was the only one who came out alive, and their adult supervisor did nothing to try to save their lives. So she's got trust issues. Armed with salt, iron chains, and rapiers, Lockwood and Company fight to make their name among the big agencies, stepping on some very powerful toes in the process. But they just want to basically prove that they're capable of handling themselves without adults telling them what they need to do. Lockwood, George, and Lucy have a fantastic dynamic. Like, wherever you are in the triangle, there is a dynamic there, and it's good. And their rapport while hunting ghosts is brilliant, and the hauntings can be genuinely creepy. Like, some of them, like, genuinely creep me out. I don't like reading about them. They creep me the heck out. But it wouldn't be a Stroud series without fantastic world building that creates such a compelling setting for the stories to take place in. From the smallest details that, how people protect themselves in the tiniest ways from ghost touch, to like the larger compelling themes that drive the series. I cannot recommend this series enough. Okay, moving on, the Inkheart series by Cornelia Funke. The series did get buzz when it was being published 20 years ago. It even got a movie, which you can take it or leave it. But unfortunately, again, I think it got overshadowed by Harry Potter. The Inkheart Trilogy, I'm going to call it that because the fourth book was only published in Germany in 2022, focuses on the Fulchart family, namely Maggie and her father Mortimer. Mortimer possesses the ability to bring fictional characters out of books when he reads them out loud, but it comes at a price. When Dustfinger, a fire eater from the novel Inkheart, comes to the Fulcharts and tells them that Capricorn is after him, it jumpstarts an adventure for Maggie that winds in and out of stories, solving the mysteries of her life along the way. I really loved the characters in this book, especially the ones from Inkheart who had to figure out, how to deal with being read out of a story. And Funke wasn't afraid of making her characters fallible, of making them morally gray, of writing a series for young adults, but exploring themes of grief and forgiveness and what people will do out of desperation. I think the magical element here is pretty clear, the ability of being a silver tongue, but the strength of the series really is the characters. And as Diana Wynne Jones put it, I don't think I've ever read anything that conveys so well the joys, terrors, and pitfalls of reading. So there you go, there's the queen, there's the endorsement. Evil Genius by Catherine Jinks. Another criminally underrated author in my opinion. The Pagan Chronicles are one of the best YA historical fiction out there, but again, that's a rant for a different video. Anyway, Evil Genius and Genius Squad by Jinks. It's her taking on a very different topic than the Crusades, namely the escapades of boy genius Cato Piggott, who began his very illustrious hacking career at age 7 and exceeds at causing mayhem and misery for those around him. Turns out his birth father is in jail for being a rather similar character, and as a teen, Cato is enrolled in the Axis Institute, where the villainy in any promising young person is encouraged and nurtured by Thaddeus Roth, his father's bestie and Cato's mentor. So, think Hogwarts, except, there's actually no magic in this book, and they're being taught how to take over the world with each student's specialty in mind. So, yes, this one doesn't have any magic, but it hits so many of the other, boxes for being Harry Potter-esque. I had to put it on here. Especially because Jinx is so, unknown. Oh, boy. Her writing is just, it's so pithy and humorous. It just makes the book fly by, honestly. And Cato is just as charming a teen genius as Artemis Fowl. So it's lucky that there are 2 books. Jinx is just so skilled at creating casts of characters that play off each other so well. And her writing style really supports snappy dialogue that from often, hilarious interactions, even if they're not necessarily talking about something funny. Her style is just it's very unique. I love it. It's actually distinct from her other books. She changes writing styles based on kind of which series she's in, but it's always got this very, like I said, pithy quality to it, and I really enjoy it. really, I love her. I love all her books. Okay, moving on. The Rithmatist by Brandon Sanderson. Yes, Sanderson was going to end up on a list of recommended fantasy books. Of course he was. But I think The Rithmatist is one of his most underrated. It's accessible for a younger audience, much more than like Mistborn or even like Steelheart, which is going to go in my superhero book video. But this, of course, it's not a bad thing. It just means don't expect the Stormlight Archive. So this is another one where we are in a different world, but again, it's really good to put on a Harry Potter list. Rithmatists are warriors who are armed with chalk, able to use geometric patterns to protect themselves, or create chalklings to attack a foe, which is important because there's a war against wild chalklings going on, and Rithmatists are the primary weapon. However, only about 1 in 1,000 are Rithmatists, and main character Joel is not one of them. He is the son of a cleaning lady at an academy for Rithmatists. And he's granted with some potential, but he's never been able to pass the actual test in order to train as an actual Rithmatist. But his world shifts with a sudden string of student abductions and his meeting with Melody Munns, who bemoans her fate as a Rithmatist. Joel and Melody are so endearing as a protagonist duo, and I love how this book breaks fantasy cliches on top of being such a fun premise. Like, magic through drawing with chalk. Like, that's so much fun. A war against wild chalklings. Like, it's so cool, and there's really neat illustrations throughout the whole book, and I just hope the sequel comes out soon because I need it. I really need the sequel. They even have a name for it, but it hasn't come out yet, and okay. Finally, my personal favorite from this list, therefore the one to end to wrap it up, and the second entry from Jonathan Stroud, the Bartimaeus trilogy, which technically has a fourth book, but it's like a semi-standalone prequel, so I'll focus on the trilogy. This is my favorite fantasy series, warring out with the Queen's Thief at all times, of course, but this series, the world building, the character growth, the themes, the humor, the heartbreak, the everything about it, so freaking good. Okay, it's so good. In modern day London, magicians are required to take on a ward to pass their teaching on to, which is how Nathaniel ends up the apprentice of reluctant adopter Arthur Underwood. Now, here's the deal with magicians. They don't actually do any of the work aside from summoning a genie that is invisible to the normal human eye. But don't tell the general population that, or the current structure might collapse. I mean, the whole government is based on magicians being super, super powerful, so shh. For magicians' work, what they do basically is pull a genie from what they call the other side when summoned, and granted that the summoning circle and all the ensuring rituals are done correctly, the genie is forced to do their master's bidding until dismissed. If the summoning circle isn't done correctly, or worse, if the genie learns a magician's true name, then things get interesting, if brief, for the magician. So, enter Bartimaeus, a wily genie that Nathaniel thinks will be easy to accomplish his personal, not quite legal goals with. But Bartimaeus has a couple thousand years of experience up his sleeve and would love to find a loophole to exploit. If he can escape the enemies he's made across those, the couple thousand years. basically cue a buddy cop adventure, except they're not buddies, they're not cops, and Bartimaeus is keeping up a steady string of commentary to the reader via footnotes. It's frequently hilarious, always crawling with imagination, and it jumps perspectives between Nathaniel, Bartimaeus, and commoner rebel Kitty Jones. The Bartimaeus trilogy is like it's like a delicious, decadent dessert of a series in every way. This well, of course I did read Harry Potter. This was my series here. Like, this was my trio, Nathaniel, Bartimaeus, and Kitty. And now this was my fantasy escape. Please read these books and then come emote at me, because I didn't get to do that ever. Everybody was reading Harry Potter and I was like, hi, I've got the Bartimaeus trilogy, and so, you know. Oh man, yes, I didn't ever get to do that with people, because nobody in my circle had read them. Please, it will break your heart, put the pieces back together, break it again, put the pieces together, and then make you laugh while you're trying to be sad. It's so good. I can't finish this list with a stronger contender. So those are my top series/books to replace Harry Potter in your life. Obviously, there's more if you want to open yourself up to epic or historical fantasy, if you're not trying to adhere to the rules that I set for myself, or if you want to go kind of, older, into more mature stuff, then you can get into like Dark Academia, like Ninth House, Summer Sons, The Atlas Six. Those are all like Dark Academia, but a little more mature. But there's also like a lot of really good historical fantasy out there that I didn't touch at all, like Ordinary Monsters or The Night Circus. The entire Discworld series for epic fantasy, that will also make you laugh. I have to make a separate video on the Queen's Thief books, because I can't recommend those enough. But yeah, these books that I just talked about, I think they can scratch that Harry Potter itch without having to deal with JK Rowling. No more of her. Just try some of these fantastic books. What a win-win situation. You get to not deal with her, you get to read some fantastic books, everyone's happy. Anyway, I hope you're doing well wherever and whenever you are. Again, my name is Kira. Thank you for joining me on this video. I don't get enough views on YouTube to actually make a profit off of it, so if you like my videos, if you like my content, then my Ko-fi link is in the description below, so if you want to support the channel financially, that's the best way to do it. And yeah, just take care of yourselves wherever you are.